It began with a drugstore. Doc Harrell opened it in 1924 on the southwest corner of Abrams and Gaston, which was a dirt road at the time. Then in 1925, fans of the 18th hole of the Lakewood Country Club were not very pleased when that section of the club was purchased as a site to build property, which then was the source of what became the Lakewood Shopping Center. It, along with the East Dallas Branch Library in 1937 and the opening of the Lakewood Theater in 1938, cemented the character of Lakewood, which would be in people's lives for decades. Grocery stores were leased at both ends of the shopping center, and businesses blossomed in the space between them, several of which endured for decades amidst economic downturns and various plans for construction and renovation of the area. A three-stage beautification project was put underway in 1965 to keep this friendly atmosphere. An interesting example of various changes that occurred over time was in that year, the Dallas Morning News noticed that many of the local businesses were owned or operated by women, and so they did an article focusing on that fact. According to that article, Mrs. Gloria Walters co-managed Henderson Hardware Homes and Gifts and Gadgets since 1960, which had been run by the previous owner, Mrs. Grace Henderson, since her husband died in 1946. The Waffle House on Gaston was owned by Mrs. Clark Robinson. In her 16th year of selling real estate in Lakewood, Mrs. Mildred Broyles considered herself a Lakewood booster, as did Mrs. Laura Cates of Cates Realty. Ivy Electronics was co-managed by Mrs. M. T. Ivy, who also worked a second job as a hostess at King George Coffee Shop. A 1970 Lakewood Shopping Center guide listed around 50 categories of businesses ranging from an answering service to a YMCA. Plans to renovate the area persisted over time. WFAA reported in 1975 that plans for a facelift were underway to revitalize the patronage of the shopping center, with a goal to preserve local businesses, even going so far as to tout the idea for a pedestrian mall going from Abrams to Richmond Street. Around $15 million had already been spent at that point on construction. In the 1980s, Dines and Craft owned the southwest section of the shopping center and was in the midst of a remodel when new life was brought into the Lakewood area with the rerouting of Abrams around the shopping center instead of through it. The southwest section of the shopping center became the property of Willingham Rutledge in 2007. By 2015, the shopping center was divided into four major owners, but was still an economic force for Lakewood. Um, the same was pointed out by Brandon Castillo of the neighborhood firm Ash Lime, who noticed that this particular shopping center produced almost $200,000 in tax revenue, which was the highest of local shopping centers in the area in Dallas. Castillo, who was also in charge of the Homeowners League, said that this is our inheritance, that our ancestors gifted this to us, and that's why this is an important thing for Dallas.